times this has been picked up. Imagine Blacklist right now, Haji still sitting at an 80% win rate with Haji on that Farsa. Onic Philippines though, they have the chance to answer back. Delarski, will he go for that Yuzong? Remember, every time someone picks up a Farsa, the Yuzong is right there, ready to go. It is actually going to be the Matilda first, and Onic PH, do they want to go for the Esmeralda here or that Yuzong?
They still have the Paquito as well as one of their heroes that they really pick up against that, but it is true. Yeah, Yuzong, a hero that Delarski actually played. I'm not looking at Onic Philippines actually. They're not that kind of team, and ooh, Hatred. Okay,
I think
really
they're
pumped up.
They're already on their way. He's looking over to the other side, and they snuck away. They stole Oheb's Beatrix.
But then again, you still have Clint, right? So, knowing Blacklist International, they will pick that up. They also have the Paquito, and now the Yisun Shin. Ooh, it's a totally different route this time.
Yisun Shin and the Rafaela coming in for the side of Blacklist International. I love this pick already. Yisun Shin has been a very good pick for this team's side. I think sitting still at a very high win rate, maybe possibly still 100% right now.
Yep, and the Yisun Shin is going to be key to
opening up the map.
Yes, and accomplishing one of their main keys to victory is not allowing the wraparound. You need that vision. You need the Mount Shocker.
Yep. Now, Onic Philippines, we know them as really assassin users. Definitely for Kyrie, you want to use something like a Lancelot for sure. You know it's coming. And you know it's coming, and Mirko is really happy about this.
I am happy about this. You know, Lancelot, one of my favorite heroes in the game, especially when I see Kyrie or Albert playing it. And now we're going to get treated once more here. But we have to take a look. Right now, Onic Philippines, with the Lancelot pick, they take away that Phobius. Very, very good. You do not want to go up against that right now. Blacklist, though, they might just go for the Yuzong ban. Was about to say that, but now Onic Philippines, do they want to let that Paquito go? It has went through the first phase, but I don't think it's going to survive the second here, especially considering Onic Philippines, I think they're going to target Edward.
Yeah, they definitely will. Maybe they'll get something like a Uranus.
Or Clint.
Or the Clint.
They ban Clint.
Yeah, that's true. The benefit of Onic PH is that they will have the last pick. However, this Matilda pick from Onic PH almost reveals their hand. And usually, you go for something like a Rafaela or a Natalia even, or a Selena pick for Baloyski, although the Selena is banned in this particular draft. What I'm trying to say is, you already know the Baloyski hero. And the Natalia, we're not going to see that at least in the first phase. Now, it's the Barrett's ban, making sure that this Lancelot will have a great game. Onic PH, as well as Blacklist International, seems to be targeting all of these X-Lane heroes.
Absolutely. Let's see. Blacklist International with the ban right now. What do they want to take away here? With the Barretts, that will actually signify that Onic Philippines, they might be open to pick the Paquito for themselves. Do Blacklist want to ban it out, or do they want to go for something else here? Let's say the Uranus ban.
Yeah, I think Uranus would be good.
Or the Lapu-Lapu.
Oh,
they won't. Marquis Harris.
Yeah. I think Blacklist International are thinking that this Beatrix can be played in the mid lane as well. And Onic PH have actually played that for Hatred. And guess what? They used it 3 times. They have that loss with it.
Well, Onic Philippines, they have the chance to pick up the Paquito right now, taking it away from Edward, but no. They pick up the Esmeralda. Again, another very good hero right now that can counter that Matilda. So picking it up for Onic, it's good. Can dive the back line, can peel, and also very, very sustainable.
You still have Brody and Clint for Blacklist International, but you can also switch it around. Maybe pick up something like an Alice for themselves that they really love for Oheb, or maybe a Lunox so that they have ways to pierce through this Esmeralda. And Blacklist International are also considering this Uranus, a hero that is unfortunately not countered by the Esmeralda. In fact, some of the players would say that Uranus actually fares well against the Esmeralda.
On a macro sense, because if the Uranus isolates the Esmeralda, then you're winning on the map. The Uranus is basically a dud. The Uranus is a neutralizer. So let's see what Edward's going to be picking up here. They get Oheb's Clint, and oh, there it is! The dynamics, the relationship we just talked about. Blacklist, they want to counter, they want to neutralize and keep away Delarski on that Esmeralda. But one more pick. They need to give something to Marquis here. What might it be?
Honestly, I'm really feeling that Lunox. I feel like the Lunox can bring a lot, especially considering that they are going up against a Uranus. They need some sort of burst here. And let's see what it is. No, they will go for Lilia. So I was right about the burst, not about the hero. Lilia picked up for Marky, adding a little bit more sustain as well.
Same for the Uranus. This is a squishy composition for the side of Blacklist International, and they don't have the best sustain as well, apart from the fact that Rafaela has heal. But of course, with the burst of the Lilia, it's almost impossible to out-sustain that. It's almost impossible to rely on your healings. That's probably why they picked it up. The question is, where will it go? Mid lane or gold lane?
Well, it is going to be the question here. Beatrix, very, very dominant laner. If he goes to the mid laner, will dominate that lane. Do they want to put this hero to suffocate the Clint or just to get that mid pressure so that they can make the split happen in the early stages of the game? That is going to be the question that we need to see answered here in the game.
Between these two teams, it's Onic who actually likes winning early and Blacklist who's willing to trade that early game. But ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get into the match. Game number 1 upon us. These are the lineups. This is Blacklist International versus Onic PH. Game 1 in a best of 7 for the World Championship.
I want to hear it. I want to see it. Break the code, or what time is it? Onic time. But unfortunately, we are going to take a look at the drafts a little bit more. Let's talk about it even more here. I think I'm going to start it off with Blacklist draft, all right? For Blacklist draft itself, it is the typical Ube, I can kind of say, but a little bit different. It's refined here, all right? Because they have the winning side lanes with the Clint. They can get that pressure as well with Edward on that Uranus, but their core mechanic is still going to be that front to back. That's what's going to make them win these games.
So the thing that I see coming out from the side of Blacklist International is that they don't have the hard engage we normally see with Haji, for example, in the Grok or maybe on the Cho. There's really not a way to start the fight unless they do it with the Holy Baptism, right?
Yep, they can only get these catches. They don't have any real call as to where the fights happen. They have no way to pin down anybody from Onic.
And if you're looking at Onic Philippines, they can rely on this Matilda to start the fights with them. Curious to see which is the mid laner or the gold laner. Actually, I wasn't able to catch it because it was just a quick glimpse when we paused, but my guess is that they will put the Lilia against this Clint in the gold lane so that they will have a great lane. As Clint is generally a hero that will be a 50-50 matchup against the Beatrix.
The side of Clint, it's a trade kind of hero, right? You don't really want to go for these all-ins early on, and same goes for the Lilia. It's going to be really good. Lilia and Clint, this matchup will be heavily favored towards the side of Lilia because of the wave clear and that trade pressure.
Which means you're going to have Oh My Venus visit Clint. We've seen Oeb do this. We've seen him like breeze through the first 5 or 6 minutes, and then next thing you know, he's just chipping away at turrets.
Absolutely. So that's going to be the question here. What do Onic Philippines want to respond that with, right? Blacklist, they are going to put Venus on that gold lane, just basically babysitting as usual for the Filipino sniper. But for Onic PH, they have a lot of options here. They can go and try to do the same thing, help out Marky, or they can go to the bottom side as well, help out Delarski on the Esmeralda. Again, it's a winning lane going up against a Uranus, all right? Uranus won't be able to do anything until he hits that level 4. And even then, it's going to be very easy for them to look for dives with the Lancelot and the Matilda.
Maybe if they can abuse that, that will be great because eventually the Uranus will have a better time macro-wise. Then again, for the side of Onic Philippines, they want to engage. They can use the Falling Star when eventually in the mid game as well as the late game. And then, of course, rely on their wave clear for all of those split pushing or macro mechanics coming up from the side of Onic Philippines. So this is a very interesting dynamic. Both teams having straight up win conditions, and I think that this is the time where you say it's definitely a 50-50 between these two teams.
It's a spike. They have to be aware of that level 4 spike on the side of Onic PH, but then Blacklist answers back with a more defensive role because that's when the Mountain Shocker comes in. That's when they actually have their disengage tools come online. But just the same, you have to consider the Uranus is going to scale up as quickly. Maybe it should try to scale up faster than the Esmeralda so they can do that neutralization. They can do the isolation play. So yeah, it's all about timing. Onic time, they definitely want to snowball. Blacklist, let's see how they're going to answer back. Here we go, back into the map.
All right, I gotta say this though. Onic, they have just been... That catchphrase, that the tag is so catchy, man.
Yeah, I agree.
What time is this? Onic time. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a watch sponsor later on for MPL Season 9.
Makes me wonder though, as we first saw that with the opening, right? But Baloyski, just some pokes coming out in the mid lane, and we know that Rafael as well as Farsa is so strong when it comes to like poking.
Just as we said it, man.
We were talking about this. The Lilia winning that lane matchup. First Blood brought to you by Razor. Wolf, you were saying?
Wow, yeah, it's just all about the pokes, but in top lane, they already have the big poke coming out, but Dilarski.
Oh, a little too deep. Again, it's both teams playing off of different timings. They know that that was the original plan, so they're playing off of their pace. Tempo going over here to Onic PH, but by a very small margin. Oh, my Venus looking low. Kyrie gets hit. Oh, he's going to be dashed through with a puncture. Pinned down with that Bolas, and there you go. Thorn Rose keeping him in.
Again, Onic Philippines now with the winning lanes, it's going to be really good for them to look for plays on the map, and this is exactly what they need to keep on doing. Look at Dilarski. He's basically taking all the resources, trying to force Wise to be uncomfortable in his own jungle, and Onic Philippines, they can look for a fight here. Even though Kyrie has lost a lot of HP, they still have the resources, and there you go. Blacklist, they can't contest without the winning lanes.
Yep, 4 members here. Oh, up top, another one! Marky gives OM his second death in 2 minutes.
This is insane. We spoke about this matchup, but I didn't expect it to be 2 solo kills in the first 2 minutes, man. This is going to be really good. Onic Philippines are just going to have to capitalize to this constantly, but Blacklist, they need an answer quick.
No, they're making All My Venus very busy. It's like a very hectic day for All My Venus, as he needed to kind of answer to the turtle fight, which wasn't really reset by Onic Philippines. And then because of that movement, he didn't have the time to actually help OM, and there goes the second kill from Marky into the top lane.
Edward gonna spot him out. Retribution on Kyrie, on point, taking this one. Turtles lane brought to you by the STB. You boys are right. They're gonna try to overload the Queen, and just because of their sheer mechanics and the damage they're putting on so early, 3 minutes in, they're ahead now by 1K. Let's look at the items.
Oh, it's just building up now, and Marky getting the Enchanted Talisman before the 3-minute mark. That is crazy. And to think that he didn't even have the mystery shop. This is such a good scaling hero. Even when it's a mage, it will put up some damage in the late game. Great wave clear. And with the Enchanted Talisman, he's going to just spam out all of his skills up top. Make sure that Oheb will not have a good time in the early stages of the game.
The thing is, right now, I feel like Onic, yes, you said it, overloading the Queen, but they're not just overloading the Queen, they're overloading every single member from the side of Blacklist except for Haji. Wise having trouble in that jungle. Venus going everywhere on the map, forcing something, and even in the 2v1, it's going to be Marky winning out in these trades. This is not good for the side of Blacklist, but again, it is that 7-minute mark that is all about that ultimate bonding experience, all right? When Blacklist gets that power spike, that's when they start to roll again. But they need to be able to stay consistent in the early stages. It won't matter that 7 minutes, yes, it's a power spike, but if Onic Philippines can just get the huge lead, it won't go to Blacklist at all.
Baloyski got them Spirit Blooms. He's lethal. He feels it. Going cut back through the jungle. Haji. It's interesting how much Onic PH has rotated and how every time Blacks International might have been a second or two too late, which resulted in this small lead. 20 seconds to the next turtle. Edward getting pinned here by Dilarski and Kyrie falling Star Moon onto that wave. This is a very low kill score game compared to a lot of what we've seen in the playoffs. Right now, look at this. 3 onto Edward. He's looking for refuge. Oh, he's going to let go of his turret down here. Oh, up top! Marky gets blasted by Haji, maximum range. He's fine.
He's fine. He was able to clear the waves as well, but Oh My Venus will go for the reset.
This is the Onic Philippines special, the banana split once again coming into game number 1. Look at how they're playing the map. They have all these winning lanes. It's going to be hard. Even though Blacklist goes up, Marky, that is why they picked up the Lilia instead of the Lunox. So powerful.
Yep, they didn't need the spike. Here we go. Second turtle up already. Edward putting a few stacks onto the 3 members here. Kyrie dashing on through the wall. He's just moving around. There's a better air strike. Still Kyrie on point. Getting the second turtle of the game while Hatred puts up a lead wall.
Did you see how Kyrie just danced through it, just used the reset, the factor coming out from both the puncture as well as the Phantom Execution, even using the Thorn Rose as an iframe source so that he will not be hit by some of the skill shots of Blacklist International. It's amazing to watch, and they also secured the turtle for that, and Onic PH really just taking over the map in the first 5 minutes of the game.
That's why they call him the future, man. Onic Philippines right now, just forcing their gameplay onto Blacklist. 2 more more minutes, technically 1 more minute right now to that power spike for the ultimate bonding experience. But at this point, I don't feel like they're going to be able to do anything with that. Onic Philippines, they can just continually, basically stop the fights from happening based on the pressure they have on the side lanes.
Slowly, something tells me Blacklist may have found the Achilles heel. Maybe by attacking mid, they can actually bear down onto Hatred, but might not be as easy a plan because of how much bottom lane was opened up by Dilarski. But look, there's movements up here. They're waiting. Oh, my Venus finds Marky. Circling Eagle. Bye, Baloyski. They let go underneath the turret. They're pinning down Oeb and Venus. Look at Kyrie from the back. Gets stunned by the Holy Baptism. Forward flicker by Hatred. Takes down Oheb. There's a fight down bottom. Dilarski taken down by Wise. It's a 1-for-1 trade across the map.
It is, but what we gotta take a look at is the side of Onic Philippines. The way they get the kills is they translate it to instant objectives, whereas Blacklist, they're struggling to keep up in the objective side of the game. Onic Philippines, yes, 3-1. The kill board isn't that much, but look at the turrets. 2 turrets, 2 turtles. This is why Onic Philippines have been able to dominate that gold lane, the pure control of the objectives in the game.
And it's crazy to think that Onic PH, after, Marky really dancing with them. Yeah, it's crazy to think that Onic Philippines, after getting a kill up top, they put both Hatred as well as Baloyski back to the mid lane because there was a fresh kill of that and they defended.
Oh, wait, Marky may have bitten off more than he could chew. Edward with the flicker forward Ionic Edge. Hatred punishes him, almost immediately circling Eagle onto Oheb. Not enough damage, burns it down. Kyrie puncturing on through. He's lashing, he's dashing, kills him with the Phantom Execution. Down goes the Filipino sniper.
It looked like it was going to be bad for Kyrie when he missed that Thorn Road, but on the bottom side, Wise picks up a kill and they are getting some kills on the board. But again, these turrets are going to be crucial. Look at the map. All the tier 1s taken down. Only a 2-kill lead for Onic, but look at the gold. 2,000 already.
Oh my goodness. And looking at Onic PH, it kind of feels like they're really putting into heart this win condition of shutting down OF. 0-4-1 on the Filipino sniper as Onic Philippines have taken over this gold lane and might be looking to control this turtle as well.
Oh, charge out of the Soul Blooms. There's the Phantom Execution still kept in check by Kyrie. It's off of cooldown. They'll put up a wall here. Via damage! And there's the Black Shoes. Marky does not want to bite off more than he could chew. They're blasting Edward. All 3 turtles so far taken by Onic.
Ooh, did you see that tag team coming out from Onic PH? They poked Oh My Venus, and that's great, right? Because Onic Philippines, if they poke Blacklist International, they had to go back. And then afterwards, Marky eventually gets there, again forcing skills out of Oh My Venus. That flicker as well as the Holy Baptism, not available in a turtle fight, meant that it's free for Onic PH.
But look at that, Wolf. Actually, Kyrie, he didn't go for the, he went for the OR axe and instantly, guess what the second item is? It's a Hunter Strike for this Lancelot. Very, very interesting build coming in for Kyrie. That is a snowballing build. He wants to keep it rolling. He wants the kills to keep on coming.
He wants to make like their mascot. He wants to go fast.
Well, wants to go. It might be that he is rushing.
Gets caught. Kyrie stunned. Maybe a little too much. Phantom Execution. Iframes on point. The Kyrie killer Kyrie survives.
My goodness. The last time I saw the Hunter Strike was, correct me if I'm wrong, Albert actually played it, Mirko, and
he played that on Paquito though.
That is, of course, that's one of the builds. But yeah, I did see the Hunter Strike on the Lancelot, but it is true. It's dependent on snowballing. And so far, Onic PH, they're on track for the snowballs. In fact, But this lead, 2.6k, they should not be comfortable with this because if you're looking at Blacklist International, there's decent defense on them through this Barca as well as this Clint.
Mountain Shocker set up. Blacklist International aware of everyone, and that's going to be Wise. Putting a few beads onto Baloyski up top. Edward getting blasted by Hatred. And in comes Kyrie. Hatred secures a kill.
Yeah, again, Onic Philippines is so good at splitting up the map, but at this point, look, they are stopping their game. Blacklist, even though you're looking at the kills, yes, it is still favoring Onic Philippines. They are still the ones with map pressure. But look, that is when Blacklist start to come free here. When those tier 1 turrets get taken down, a lot of teams struggle to get the tier 2s because of how good Blacklist International basically manipulate these waves, go for the team fights, and secure the vision in their own jungle. Usually when tier 1s are taken down, that's when the opposing team can just push in your jungle. But Blacklist, they know how to do this. They know how to open up the map very, very well. And this is exactly what you're seeing from them.
Well, just make sure Onic PH don't give up their mid lane turret. That's having their focus. and just Kyrie just baiting through Blacklist International. But then again, it still is very difficult for Onic PH to kind of push, because if you're looking at their composition, only Hatred can actually hit turrets. Apart from that, they need to go melee against all these turrets.
Baloyski enters a lethal death push, gets caught by a holy baptism. Kyrie dashing on through. He's used his puncture, his Phantom Execution. Blast-wise, Haji answers back with a feathered airstrike, taking one out on the way. Oheb trading out via Baloyski 1-for-1 so far. Both teams disengaged.
That's going to be very worth it for the side of Onic PH. They got the jungler for the roamer. And one thing I wanted to touch on this before that fight came up. It's going to be really easy for Onic PH in these team fights. Why? Because all they need to do is target Wise, all right? Wise is the only one with kills on the board. It's time to take a look at the replay and look at what they do. Exactly that, targeting only Wise in these team fights.
And you gotta have to look at Haji, the way he used the flicker to get out of the zone of Kyrie. And then Kyrie also trying to outplay Haji with the Thorn Rose to dodge some of the feathered airstrike, then gets out of the zone of the feathered airstrike. Such mechanics from, former, I would say, the rivals in the jungler role.
Man, again, you see from the kills, 5 total kills for Blacklist, 3 of them picked up by Wise, all right? So this is going to be the fact of the matter. Onic Philippines, all they need to do is shut Wise down. Oheb is so behind, he basically does no damage at this point.
I was about to bring that up. This whole time, we've left Oheb for what, 5 minutes now? I'm guessing his items must be in point, must have caught up. But Onic PH, they have a different plan. They're starting up this Lord already. Edward trying to get a visual. Oh my Venus, poising up. This wall here, this bush is dangerous. In goes Marky, eats a few wolves.
Kyrie.
Look at this area from the back line. Wise taking down again. Baloyski traded out. Kyrie falls, and they're still going. They're still deep in. Delarski dancing around Oheb. And that's going to be Edward flickering on out. They're not done. Oheb, he smells blood. He wants to take down Hatred. And they're far too deep in. They disengage. That was an interesting 2-for-2.
What a great 2-for-2. I mean, we know that Blacklist International excels in these kind of clashes, as they really have mastered this Lord fight, and that is what we saw in their series against BTK. They have really bodied BTK in these Lord fights, and so far it has been good. And Onic, interesting decision to actually go for heroes instead of focusing on the Lord after them starting the Lord themselves.
We need to talk about the win conditions coming in for both of the teams. Onic PH, look at their heroes. They are ability-based heroes. They are a one and done, all right? They're a hit-and-run composition, whereas Blacklist, they want these fights to go a long distance, maybe all the way to that final moment. Look at their heroes, 2 Marksmen and Farsa. These are continuous abilities, continuous basic attacks coming in, they always, you know? So Onic, what they want to do is go for the hard engage to the back line, destroy that back line, and back away, instantly go for the objective, whereas Blacklist, they want to keep on fighting.
Haji's been just so good with this hero.
Oh, there we go. They're going to come in. They find one. Edward gets jumped on, circling eagle. And the jump in by Delarski. That's going to be the passion. And the holy healing, saving the rest of Blacklist International. Edward's not done. He wants more. They know that they're going for the Lord. Both teams, they know that they have to do this very, very quickly. Edward putting a few stats onto the back. They take down Oheb. Kyrie gets a dash in. Trading out for Baloyski. That's a win for Onic. Mountain Shocker making sure that it's safe to disengage. Kyrie still pressuring Edward, and it's a clean go. That's Blacklist back on the map, taking a mid lane tier 1.
Remember what I said, prolonged fights is gonna favor Blacklist International. Onic PH, with this composition, they need to go for the hard lockdown. If not, Blacklist, look what they're able to do. They get 2 turrets off of a fight that was 1-for-1.
Amazing, amazing recovery coming up from Blacklist International, as they did lose an important hero, and that's Oheb. However, we just, the decision-making coming up from Blacklist International was just really good, and they disengaged against Onic PH, healed himself up, get away from the zone of those dominant sides, those anti-heals coming out from Onic PH, then fight again. And it really looked wonderful for Blacklist International. They want to go for top, though.
Oh, Kyrie just at the nick of time. Phantom Execution out. Mountain Shocker, he's not out of the woods just yet. Oh, Blacklist International, they've built up the confidence. I think they're ready. A very, very small gold lead. 800, you can say. That's Blacklist International starting up the Lord. Edward drawing a perimeter. The Enforcer, the muscle, keeping all the other members of Onic PH down. Oh, Baloyski put down to his lowest and taken down by Wise. That's a 1-man advantage for the side of Blacklist. Haji popping the feathered airstrike. Marky looking low. Marky as well flickering on out. No more black shoes here. Oh, they go in. Edward Edward slain right before he can take out Marky. That's 1 for 1 so far. Hatred getting blasted here, and there's an Nibiru's passion. Wise coming up for the re-engage. That's a jump
Haji's
back.
ult is up.
Haji, he's gonna look for one, blasting him. There's a feather airstrike to the face. Wise secures the kill. It's a 1 for 3 so far, and they take the Lord.
Oh my God, Onic Philippines, they were so disconnected in that, and the punishment was there for Blacklist International. And unfortunately, Kyrie went for the wraparound, did not hit the Phantom Execution onto Haji. That's why Haji was able to just run away and punish him for his transgressions. And Onic PH have lost so much of their lead. Blacklist International taking the Enhanced Lord, meaning to say they now have map control.
This is the refined Blacklist that we were all talking about back in the BTK matchup. Blacklist, look at how well they're able to play. Onic Philippines, for the first few minutes, were the ones pushing their playstyle onto Blacklist, but they did not crack. They waited up until that Ube strat could work. It didn't work in the 7 minutes because they were so behind, but now, look at these items, look at these heroes. They finally scaled up through the farming on the cross-map plays, and they are the ones pushing Onic Philippines to play their way. They have nowhere to go at this point. They can only follow Blacklist tempo.
I put a name to this when we saw it happen against BTK. It was called the rubber banding effect. Blacklist was rubber banding, and they were just waiting, and now this is their game to lose. Look at this, Luminous Lord marching down through bottom. They are setting it up, feathered airstrike, blasted onto 4 members of Onic PH, and they're gonna take that inhibitor down bottom. Look at the discipline, catching one, Dilarski with the Holy Baptism. Mid's gonna get taken down as well. Oheb takes it, the Filipino sniper, pew pew!
This is going to be insane right now. Look, the 2,000 goalie for Onic Philippines, it felt like it didn't even exist at this point. 4,000 for Blacklist, they're cracking in the base.
Look at this calculated assault. Wise coming in, threatening the passive tick onto Marky, and they're still here. They are not letting go. They know that there's ults on the side of Blacks International, and they give full respect. Mount Shocker keeping him in place. They might try to look for a kill here onto Dilarski. He's low, down to 1/3 of his health. Circling eagle by Bolonski into the back line. He's gonna get punished. Kyrie immortality. Looking for Kyrie, he's looking for heads. There's a feather airstrike. Wise goes down. 2 go down, 1 for 1 so far. And Dilarski jumping on. That's going to be another one taken down. Haji from Baloyski. And it's Edward. He's running. He's buying time. Here comes Oheb. And Oh My Venus going to go for the fire back. That's Marky catching a bullet. Baloyski, he's still going to go down. The Filipino sniper gets ahead. Marky pops the black shoes. He's okay. 3-on-3 still inside Onic PH's base.
This is insane. The prolonged fights once again with Oheb just standing in that back line. And look how this fight is going to go again.
Oh, they're still going. Holy Baptism catches Dilarski, and he's still dancing around, giving him shields and taking down the Queen. Popping the immortality, and the Nibiru's passion. Point blank, Marky secures the kill. Edward and Oheb may have overstayed their welcome. They disengage. There's a heal from Edward. He's still pushing his luck. He's still going. Dilarski gonna dance around. Both of them still have immortalities. We get a reset.
18 minutes in, and what a game do we have on our hands. Look at the scoreboard. Dead even, 13-14. 2,000 gold lead though for the side of Blacklist. Now what Onic needs to do is, again, target that back line. It's very easy to say. It's very hard to do considering the front line and the peel from the side of Blacklist. Look at the items right now. What can you see?
Oh, well, I can see that there is Wind of Truncheon on the side of Hatred, and they're freshly picked up Wind of Nature for both Wise and Hatred. This was fresh off of Wise, and this is perfect against Hatred as well as Kyrie. As we can see that Kyrie really would like to go for Wise all the time.
Goes in, circling eagle on to Wise. A false engage. Dilarski goes back with the Falling Star Moon. Edward pushing them back.
Oh, this is Onic PH. I wonder why they bought that. Maybe they're just threatening for kills as Kyrie is just waiting for farm onto the other side of the map. But Blacklist International, they do have the advantage of all of the minions just pressing against Onic PH without the inhibitor turret.
At this point of the game, Onic Philippines, they need to micromanage so many things, you know? 3 lanes basically constantly going to be pushing in with those super minions activated from those inhibitors as now Lord spawns by TikTok Live. How are they going to contest for this? Blacklist, they are better in the prolonged fights, in the poke division as well. Onic will need to pull out some crazy fights, maybe even some miracle plays to be able to make that happen.
Miracle plays. We'll see if Onic PH is known for that, but Blacklist International, they're so composed.
Circling eagle onto 1. They might get it off of this odd entry by Edward, but they're not going to let that happen, not so easily. Mountain Shocker, you always have to remember, Blacks International has that one tool to know exactly where everyone is, so the wraparound, that isolated catch, not so easy.
Again, Onic Philippines forcing these out, you know, like you said, This is what they do. And literally right now, 20 minutes in, they need to keep on forcing this because look at the build-ups in the waves. From the bottom side, Marky, oh my god.
Marky, Mountain Shocker, everything is a threat here right now. The range game on Blacklist International is huge as they take the Lord in the blink of an eye. Onic, no time to respond. Delarski gets the Immortality Bomb. Circling Eagle by Beloisi, keeping Edward in check. Down goes the Esmeralda. Wise takes the kill. And right now, even Hatred suffers a death. Down goes the Beatrix. The Filipino sniper gets one. Kyrie falls as well. It's only Marky left. The Lord and Blacklist marching into their base. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves game number 1. Marky goes. Blacklist takes it 1-0.
Again, the Lord fight. I think that this game will go for either Haji or Edward. Edward was able to just make sure that Onic PH is in check and they know where they are. They don't even need to pop the Mountain Shocker to know where the members of Onic PH are. It's just that Edward is keeping tabs of it, and Haji, this guy smiling because I would say he carried this game. The way he uses his ultimate just to disrupt and maybe burst the squishy members of Onic PH was just phenomenal.
It's the simple plays that come in from Blacklist International that really makes the difference here. You don't need flashy plays. All you need to do is stick to that textbook. They know their win conditions entirely. When the draft was set, they knew what we had to do. First 5 minutes, never gonna go our way. If we try to force the tempo, we're gonna lose. Sure, I'll just keep on farming. Wise, he was disrupted so many times in the jungle. Didn't let that get into his head. He stayed composed. He waited for the time. When he got those item power spikes, you can see the level that he brought onto these team fights. They were able to force every single one. And the name of the game for game 1 is forced errors. Exactly. Blacklist, with that pressure, with the tempo shifting over, they were able to push it through Onic PH.
It's the Blacklist rubber band scoring them the first victory in game number 1. Let's throw it over to our analysts, Gideon Q and LaFell. Break it down.
Thanks so much, Leo. Appreciate it as always. But back here at the analyst stand with the two smartest here once again. LaFell, we have to talk about this a little bit more because again, even though it is going to be an all-Filipino finals, there still are mistakes being made here.
Yeah, but first we have to look at a few things. Number one is the draft. Coming from the side of Onic Philippines, they are a little bit faster because they are more focused on the early game tempo. However, moving later stages of the game, once we have 4 items, then it's time for Blacklist International to really control the map. And then speaking of mistakes, Onic Philippines, there were a lot of engages that was actually countered by the side of Blacklist International, just being a little bit better in terms of timing on how they capitalize on the engages coming in from Onic.
But that's the thing, right, LaFell? When you have such a complicated overall draft where your win conditions are mainly to be playing for this early game, we see time and time again, it feels like Blacklist is able to kind of hold them back. But what we cannot hold back, we can't stop talking about the Razer Hammerheads here. Guys, if you haven't heard about it, you gotta cop one for yourself because the Razer Hammerhead True Wireless are cutting-edge earbuds destined to dominate the sound stage. Designed to dazzle in a blaze of RGB glory, the Hammerhead is decked out with active noise-canceling 60 ms low-latency gaming mode for an audio experience never seen or heard before. Head on over to Razer.com to learn a little bit more about it and make sure you get your pair today. Now, coming back to this once more, simplification compared to overcomplicating things, I feel like generally it feels like on brand. Like everybody got their comfort picks for either side of the teams.
Not just comfort picks, but also how they play the game, because we have to remember that Onic Philippines, they like to play the macro game. They like to move around the map. Where from the side of Blacklist, they like to move in together because they play the team fight game much better. And if we saw in terms of how they play in the highlights, look at how much damage they were able to juggle around together. And right now, again, we're gonna look at the draft. Coming in, this is the more important part, is that Marky, Hatred, as well as Kyrie, the heroes that they've been using, our casters were asking about the Hunt Strike, and again, this is just the way that they play. They want to be a little bit faster, they want to catch Blacklist off guard, but they missed time in terms of taking the objectives. They should have been a little bit faster because Beatrix mid, clear the lane fast, move on. Marky wins the lane, clear the lane fast, move on. Same thing with Kyrie, but again, Blacklist, they were able to slow it down, mostly because Uranus as well as Farsa.
Yeah, Edward just doing a really good job at kind of just buffering, sandbagging in the lanes, as people like to call it. But most importantly, I think Haji not only was playing for the macro sense, some of his plays have really caught some of the members from Onic PH side off guard, getting a lot of free kills.
Yeah, and especially because of that winter truncheon. A lot of times you see that Kyrie trying to dive to the backline, try to kill him off, but once he has that winter truncheon, then he's going to be sitting there for quite a while, and the rest of Blacklist International, they can just focus him down. And another point of contention is Oheb. In the early game, he was focused, but mid-stage and late stages of the game, he was basically untouched, being able to dish a lot of damage. Speaking of damage, Oheb dealt the most, 107,000.
Yeah, and despite having a start of 1-4 and one really rough laning phase, I totally get where you're coming from here. But overall, when we're looking to damage the towers, Blacklist is going to be taking the cake. Even though we're looking at the score of 18-14, a lot of these fights have been quite 50-50.
50-50 in mid-game. Later stages in the game, then it becomes a whole lot different. On the Philippines, when they were playing inside their own base, the only way that they can really cover is because of Lilia covering, like destroying the minions and such. But coming into the late game, then Blacklist, they have this,